What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday to you. I hope you have a great weekend planned ahead of you. Welcome into Cleveland Browns Mock Draft 5.0. I'm your host, Jacob, for today's festivities, and I am solo once again for another draft episode of the Buck Browns Show. We are brought to you, as we always are, by our friends over at Homage Apparel, and they have the best in the business. Just dropped new starter jackets for the Guardians, so you might jump over there and check that out before baseball season kicks off here in like 3 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. We're almost there. We're almost there. The Guards are almost back, and the Cavs are about in the playoffs. So we're here today for my fifth video mock draft of the year. This is Cleveland Browns Mock Draft 5.0. I got a little fun with this one, all right? This one, I did use PFF's Mock Draft Simulator. I think on the previous four, I had used NFL Mock Draft Database. So I wanted to do this one because I think their trades are a little bit closer and more accurate than some of the other simulators. So I wanted to start there. So we're going to start right out the gate with me trading pick 42. Right out the gate. I'm getting excited. So I trade 42 and pick 111, which is one of the Browns' fourth round picks. Or their only fourth round pick. I trade that to the Detroit Lions for picks 48 and pick 81, which is a third round pick. So I think that the top half of this draft, I think the Browns want 3 cracks in the top 100. I think that's where we are point blank. I think they want 3 cracks in the top 100 because I think the top 100 of this draft has a lot of talent. I don't think that there's a handful of superstars, as there always will be at the very, very top. But once you get from about picks 20 to 100, but then 25 to 100, really 25 to 75. But in those range, I think there's a ton of really great players and great options. It's a very, very intriguing draft, not super top heavy, but really heavy in the middle. And so I think the Browns are going to try to find a way to get 3 picks in the top 100. And I do that by sending pick 42 and 111 to the Lions for picks 48 and picks 81. I side back and I take a guy that I absolutely love, and he's just been crushing the draft circuit, and Adetomiwa Adebawore from Northwestern. I love this kid. Some people are acting like he came out of nowhere. I heard Pete Smith say the other day his tape is great. His tape is phenomenal. He's a kind of a stiff athlete, but he plays with just tremendous leverage. He understands where to put his hands. His hand placement is elite. He tore up the Senior Bowl. He tested like an absolute freak of nature at the NFL Scouting Combine. And it was one of those things where I have watched a lot of Adebore's tape. I watched him test, and I was like, I got to go back. Is this athlete there? And you're like, yeah, he's a little stiff in the hips. He doesn't have a ton of bend there, but he's explosive off the line. He's incredibly strong. He can play inside. He can play outside. He understands how to play leverage in his base. He just drives people, and he understands how to use his hands. And there's some freak level athleticism that if you can tamper around with that a little bit and try to figure out what's going on, you can unlock a very special player. And I think that there is such a high. I don't know if he's there at 48. I don't know if he's there at 42. But if he is, Adebawore is a guy I think you could sprint that up. And you know that with him and Alex Wright opposite Myles Garrett, you've got some really, really intriguing options. We're now on the board at pick 81, the third round pick that I acquired when trading back with the Detroit Lions. I'm taking another defensive lineman. I'm taking my boy Carl Brooks, the defensive tackle out of Bowling Green. Now, this is a guy that gets really interesting because you're looking at a guy, 10 sacks this year, right? 12 quarterback hurries, 13 tackles for loss. He's about 6'4", 295 was his playing weight. I think he's about 300 pounds. Absolutely violent hands. I mean, he does not let offensive linemen get into his body. He understands, hey, if these linemen get their hands on me, they may be able to control me. They may be able to take me out of this play. And bam, bam. It's playing patty cake with him. Heavy, strong, powerful hands. He has really good bursts off the line of scrimmage. He has just he's really powerful. He collapses the pocket, right? He really understands how to hold his ground, push the pocket, collapse the pocket in the pass and the run. He understands all of that, and he just plays with tremendous. He has a tremendous motor, right? Tremendous intensity. He's going to play to the snap every time. Yeah, he is. That really helps him with great hand usage and a motor that just runs and runs and runs. It's he can win even if he loses early reps. He can win, and he will continue to fight through that. And he'll continue to try to get to the quarterback in pass rush situations. And I think I bring up this one. I always really respect the Draft Network, and the Draft Network put up this point that his run defending skills are very boom or bust, and that's something to be concerned about. It's true. He may have a game where he's just dominant as a run defender, and he may have a game where he is almost non-existent as a run defender. But he has really good size. He has great hands. He has a motor that never stops, and if you put all of that together, and you put that next to Myles Garrett, you put that with Adebawore that we took in the second round. I think Karl Brooks he had double-digit sacks last couple years, incredibly productive at a smaller school. I understand that. He has all these tools. It was criminal that he wasn't at the scouting combine, so I'm really, really intrigued to see his testing numbers when it comes to his pro day because he had a really nice Senior Bowl. So Karl Brooks, let's finish up the defensive line. Karl Brooks, Adebawore, whatever they add in free agency. This draft does not change based on what happens in free agency in a couple of days because I think these are the long-term building blocks that you're trying to get. Pick 98, my final crack at the top 100 is Parker Washington from Penn State. I think Parker Washington he's very intriguing because when we talk about what the Browns need to do at wide receiver, we talk about speed and dynamic playmaking. And Parker Washington's like a 4.5 guy. He's not going to do. I wrote an article for Browns Wire where I wrote Washington doesn't have Anthony Schwartz blazing straight line speed because he doesn't. He's not a 4.2. He's not a 4.3. He's not even a low 4.4 guy. He's a guy closer to the 4.5s. But the thing is, he understands how to play the position. He has great body control. He has the ability. He's a tremendous cutter, sticks his foot in plants his foot, boom, he's out the other direction. He understands how to create separation. And when he gets the ball in his hands, he can really make something happen. He is a dynamic playmaker and a guy that really, really produces after the catch. The Browns didn't have a ton of yards after catch last year, and they've got to find a way to get those numbers up. And yes, it means if you take a guy like this, you still need to find that true blue speedster that fills the role that we thought Anthony Schwartz would potentially fill, and he just hasn't yet. And so I understand that. He's not an unfinished. He is an unfinished product. He's not 21 yet. He's going to turn 21 at the end of this month before the draft. So he'll be 21 going out in there. And I wrote this, and this is a line that I wrote, and I really liked it. I think it really sums up this pick. He flat out understands how to create separation at the position. He can win at any level on the defense. Short, intermediate, deep. He can win. He has tremendous hands, reliable hands, strong, plucks things away from defenders. He has really nice athleticism. He can go up and get the ball. He's not that straight line burner that a lot of us have been thumping the table. We need this. We need this. Yeah, he's not that. He's not necessarily going to give you that, but he will create. And the Browns do not, by any stretch of the imagination, have enough creators in the passing game. And I think putting him in there, especially if they go out and trade for Brandon Cooks or DeAndre Hopkins or one of these guys, this guy underneath can create and draw enough attention to allow more one-on-one matchups. And I think Parker Washington would just be a great fit for what the Browns need to do. Now, I don't have – so here's a trade for you guys here. So I would have been on the clock with my first fourth-round pick. I knew they had two fourth-round picks, but I forgot I had traded it. So that's why I misspoke a little bit earlier. I traded pick 126, the Browns' fourth-round pick. I traded that to Arizona for pick 169, which is a fifth-round pick this year, as well as a fifth and seventh-round pick in 2024, as I was trying to add some assets, and I was not done. I ended up leaving this draft with 4 draft picks in 2021. So I got a 5 this year for a 4, and then I got another 5 and a 7 next year. So that puts us on the board at pick 142. I'm taking Dorian Williams, the Tulane product at linebacker. it's very interesting because just about all these guys are will linebackers, and they have will linebackers. And he's 220 pounds, but he's hyper productive at Tulane. 78 tackles, 5 sacks, 2 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles last year. He has really nice size and frame for the position that he is playing. He has a ton of experience on special teams, a ton of experience on defense. He's that real experienced player when you're looking at, a young defense, creating this defense, trying to figure out how to take it to the next level and trying to figure out how Bubba Ventrone and special teams figure it out. A guy like this, a guy that can play linebacker if you need to, but can come in immediately on day 3 and in the 5th round and make a impact. I'm sorry, in the 4th round and make an impact on the field and special teams. I think he can do that. He has a ton of college production. As I mentioned, his sideline to sideline movement skills are really good. His read and react, that's kind of where you worried at it. It's kind of average there, and that's kind of why he is a day 3 pick, and you're putting him there and that sort of thing. And being at 220 pounds, he does struggle to kind of get through some blocks, but he is really good in coverage. I think he's a really good coverage linebacker, so he can step in and play that role. Should, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah has had some injuries here and there, I think he can step in. Him and Tony Fields can step in and kind of tread water at the position if JOK needs to miss some time. But I think he just plays with his hair on fire, and I think he's just a guy that's going to give you everything he's got every play, and he has the speed and athleticism to be a factor in the pass game, which is something you can never have enough people that can be a factor in the pass game in today's modern NFL. So I was right. That is the 5th round pick. I traded our 4th round pick. That's what it was. I'm so messed up right now. I can't figure out what I'm doing here. You guys, I'm messed up. They do only have a 4. They have 2 4s. I traded them both. Got it. There we go. So that was a 5th round pick. I've got my mock draft right here, and I just keep messing it up. I apologize. Pick 169 in the 5th round. That is the pick that I got from Arizona when I sent them pick. I said Arizona pick 126 for 169, a 5 and a 7 in 2024. Quindell Johnson, the safety from Memphis. I like this guy a lot. This guy has a lot of scheme versatility. He can play as a single high. He can play as a split zone safety. He can play in man coverage. He has the athleticism to kind of go back and forth. Multiple seasons as a starter. Very versatile. Understands what he's trying to do. He blends coverage really good. He is a starting safety. I think he's a starting free safety at the next level. He's not a sudden athlete. He's not going to blow you away. You want him deeper in coverage. You don't. I know he can play some man, but I would rather have this guy in single high or split safety looks because he's not a sudden athlete. He's not a elite level athlete. He does have a quick trigger, and he comes crashing downhill. He will crash downhill hard in the run game, and I think he's a relatively good blocker. Again, this is a guy that goes to Memphis, plays at a smaller school. Is there some situations there where he's not playing against the elite level of quarterback play or wide receiver play and, the stuff that he's going to see at the NFL? Yeah, man, that's why we're picking him at 169th in the draft. But you look at a guy and you say, hey, this guy can play coverage. He can do what the Browns don't have as a deep safety, and he's not a slouch in the run game. I just think he can play both facets of the game. I think he's exactly what they don't have in that deep secondary. And I think he can play special teams. And he's got decent enough size, 194 pounds, 6'1", decent enough size. And look at that. He was a 2 state championships in high school. I knew there was something I wanted to, yeah. He has pretty good ball skills. He tracks the ball really well in the open field, when it's in the air. He kind of reminds me of Richard LeCount, which didn't work out, so maybe I should take him off the mock for that reason. But he kind of reminds me of that, and I think he gets a lot of those deep center fielder vibes and someone that can step in that role if they need him. Okay, pick 144. I forgot about this. Pick 144, which would have came before this, which would have been the Browns' original second, fifth round pick. I traded pick 144 to the Chicago Bears for a 5 and a 6 next year. So I traded this year's 5 for a 5 and a 6 next year. So coming out of this draft, I gained 2 fifth round picks, a 6th round pick, and a 7th round pick in 2024. So the Browns have some backloaded, a bunch of picks if they want to trade up or just get some depth guys. My 6th round pick is Zach Kuntz. I like this. I picked Zach Kuntz a little bit earlier in a mock that I wrote up for Browns Wire that I really liked. And he then goes out and has the best athletic testing a tight end's ever had in terms of relative athletic score, and gets a perfect 10.0 on the relative athletic score. He's explosive. He's fast. He's got good size. He put up like 27 reps at the bench press. I talked about him in a draft video earlier in the week with talking about my combine standouts. He plays originally at Penn State. He goes to Old Dominion. He is an older prospect as a result. Only had like 13 grabs this year. I don't know much about the Old Dominion offense. I've watched some highlights of him. He's 6'8". he's enormous. He's got the long levers and he's got the tools to be a good blocker, and he's a willing blocker. He's just not a refined blocker. But I think I know somebody in Cleveland that does a pretty good job of coaching people up on how to block. I think we'll be okay. But, I think Zach Kuntz, he's just, you're in the 6th round. You're just starting to draft on, you're just looking at traits, maybe college production, maybe just trying to one particular thing. And a guy that had a relative athletic score of 10, if he's in the 6th round, and we know the Browns love these guys with high potential athletic upside, like a Zach Kuntz, you're just like, oh yeah, here's it. Yeah. Bring him on in. I always have like an early and a later round draft crush, and Zach Kuntz is Zach Kuntz got my attention, baby. Zach Kuntz got my attention a lot. We slide back to the 7th round pick. I finished it out with a running back, Mohamed Ibrahim from Minnesota. 1,665 yards, 20 touchdowns this year, 5.2 yards per carry. Hyper productive back. He will turn 25 in September, so maybe completely off the Browns. Has quite a bit of an lower body injury history, but he has really good balance and yards after contact ability. He's really strong, drives his legs, which is interesting considering all of the lower leg injuries that he's had. He's got really nice vision. He's like Nick Chubb light, like very, very light, like not Nick Chubb's level at all. But he's a great short yardage back. He plays really well in the gap and zones concepts, which the Browns like to employ. And if there's a hole, there's a good chance Ibrahim is going to find it. He is not, he does not have the long speed. He does not have the explosive long speed that you have to hit home runs in the NFL. But I'm taking him in the 7th round to be my 3rd running back, maybe my 4th running back, depending on what's going on. So if I'm taking a flyer on a guy, 203 pounds, 5'8", finished with 1,600 yards in the Big Ten last year, I'll take Mohamed Ibrahim to finish out the draft. So, guys, I hope you like this draft. Comment below if you want to rate it. If you're new here, welcome. Hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. I appreciate all the love from you guys. We're really excited. We got a really special show coming for you guys. We got 2 special shows coming up here on the YouTube and in all the audio formats coming up, talking about free agency. It is almost here. I love doing the draft, but the free agency is right here, and I can't wait to talk about it. We appreciate you guys. The most valuable thing you can give somebody is some of your time. So thanks for giving some more of your time to me. I appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you guys next time. And as always, go Browns.